Hi everyone, we've got to the end of the road here with the IO Full Moon broadcast. This is the last of the 12 tracks and it's called Live and Let Live. And it was also the last song to be finished.
Just how much does it have to hurt before you let go the pain? And just how deep does it have to be before you yearn to be free again?
I struggled with it a bit and tried, I think, 3 different verses. The first section to be written was that this is what we do. I tried a few different words, but that belonged to another song, but I think was the starting point for growing things out from this. And then I had a whole other verse, and I think later in the day, the end, bam, 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 very simple motif for the ride out. And that sort of came to life with the band. As far as the lyric goes, I tried a few different things, and I was doing an anti-war song originally when the Russians invaded Ukraine, and didn't feel I nailed it. And I'd had a suggestion a while ago, with this idea that music can be like a box of mood pills that we can use to treat ourselves, and a lot of the work on the Reverberation project is focused on that sort of idea. And someone had suggested that forgiveness might be a topic, and at first I thought, oh, it's not interesting to me. And then I remembered 2 things. With the Elders, which is this amazing group of former leaders that voluntarily work together to try and influence world affairs and bring a bit of experience and wisdom to difficult situations. For a long time, Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, I should call him, was the chair. And he was a real mentor for me, extraordinary man, inspirational, so much courage and great sense of mischief and humor. Anyway, he led the Truth and Reconciliation Committee in South Africa, and that really allowed people to expose, report, and maybe feel again some of the horrors of the apartheid era. And you'd have, there's some extraordinary film of and evidence where horrible violence or abuses, murders were committed, and you had the families of the 2 people involved together. And forgiveness, sounds ridiculous in a lot of situations, and was unachievable in many. But listening, I remember he was saying always that listening made a huge difference, just to make sure people felt heard and recognized. And then sometimes it created a space for forgiveness. And also, from my experience with the elders.org, we founded it, Richard Branson and I co-founded it with Nelson Mandela and Graça Machel, who's still a very active elder. And there's one description that Mandela gave when he was released from jail after 27 years in prison and found himself about to become president of South Africa, standing next to some of the people who'd been responsible for keeping him in jail all that time, and maybe were involved with the murder or torture of some of his colleagues and friends. He said he felt some of the old fear and hatred swelling up inside him. And then he thought hard about it and realized But unless he could find a way to work with these people, to build what he called his Rainbow Coalition, he needed really to feel their humanity and ultimately to find a way to forgive them, because he was quite sure that if he couldn't forgive them and find a way to work with them, that he would remain their prisoner for the rest of his days. And I thought about that a lot, and I thought, and we've all had situations where we've been hurt, or we're angry, or we want revenge. And you know really that you're going to get stuck in that toxic poison until you can feel someone else's humanity and maybe find a way to forgive. Now I know if we look at what's happening in the Middle East now, or in Ukraine, all sorts of places around the world where there's still violence and brutality, to walk around, with a bunch of flowers preaching forgiveness seems trite and pathetic maybe, but in the long run, I think people have to find a way. Peace, only happens when you respect the rights of others. That was a quote in the Peace University in Costa Rica. And I think there's a really important message there for me, for my life, but for all of us, that we get stuck in these, when we're hurt, when something horrible has happened, unforgivable. We just get caught up in it. And you either belong to that hurt or you free yourself. And forgiveness is clearly a super effective way of freeing yourself. So, I thought, okay, I don't think I've seen that in a song, so I'll try and put that into a song. And I think it's also a plea for tolerance. I couldn't really lock the verses in. This piano repeat stuff felt like a great direction, and but the groove didn't settle for a while. I tried a few things, and then I remembered that a few years back, the amazing Steve Gadd had come to play some drums, and he'd done a few patterns for us that Dickie, my engineer, had looped up, and we tried one of those. And I called up Steve, who I've known through Tony Levin and known his family, and just Tony and Steve grew up together in Rochester. And he said, sure, you're welcome to use that. And so then that was set at the front. And then we have the end section, which Manu had done some beautiful playing on. So I think I had all the ingredients at that point. And I was also looking for something emotional, and I haven't used trumpet much in my musical career, but it is something that I've grown to like a lot more. And strangely enough, in lockdown, I was sent a video of someone who'd done a version of this song, What Lies Ahead, which is, I performed it a few times, but it's going to be on the next record. This trumpeter, Paolo Fresu, he was Sardinian, had actually done with some wonderful jazz musicians this instrumental version. And I just thought the playing I was blown away. It was so soulful and poetic in a way. So I invited him to do some stuff, and we have some beautiful moments from Paolo. I thought at the end, we needed something rousing that would lift people, and the Soweto Gospel Choir, they've always delivered on that with the song for Wally that I did. They did a wonderful job there, and I've worked with them in South Africa. In fact, on a little memorial concert for Desmond Tutu. And although they've got a changing, rolling cast, they always have wonderful singers, great voices, and this deep soulfulness. So that their additions are always wonderful for me. The final piece of art in this full moon collection is by a wonderful artist called Nick Cave, who's based in Chicago. He creates extraordinary figures. He does a lot too with performance, with movement and dance. But these figures for which he's best known, Soundsuits, are amazing. And we have one here. But it's seen first of all as armor, so that beneath all this exuberant color, you can't actually sense the race, the class, the wealth, or the gender of the person wearing the soundsuit. So I think it's that sense that you're not going to get attacked for preconceived ideas about who you are or what people like you are like. You know, it's all that stuff. So it's a very positive spin on a negative situation. And some of his earlier work reminds me of some of the traditional dances that I would see in Senegal. But he, again, sort of transforms them and brings them to life with all sorts of different colors. It's very interesting and unusual, and I'm very glad that he was happy to be part of this. I can't think of anything else to add to the song, but or to add to the account of the song. I hope you like it, and thank you for staying with me for all of these full moons. It's been an experiment. I've enjoyed being able to connect and just explain the songs one by one. So thank you for hanging in, and hope to see you around soon. I hope you enjoy the record now in its fully assembled form. Take care.